My name is Doug Parker, host of Cruise Radio, and today I'm going to show you how to cruise for under $50 per day. Now, before we get to the cruise deals, if you like this video and you'd like to see more content, subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. So let me start by saying that $50 a day is sort of an arbitrary number. Yes, you can find a cruise that'll cost you $50 a day, even really less, actually. And this video will definitely help you find those. But once you've found that bargain cruise, you'll want to do a little research in what you're getting for that amount just to make sure it's what you're looking for. It's pointless to get a great deal and hate everything about it. Keep in mind while we're talking about the $50 per person per day rate for the cruise, we're not including gratuities in that price. We're simply just talking about the base rate of the cruise. All right, so let's talk about how to find these cruises that are going to be significantly cheaper than what you'd expect. The number one way to get a cheap cruise is to take a repositioning cruise, also known as a transatlantic or trans-Pacific sailing. So a lot of cruise ships spend the winter months in the Caribbean and then the summer months in Alaska or Europe. So they have to reposition the cruise ships to get to their new ports of call for that season. These cruises generally average around 14 nights, and it's more about getting the ship from one place to another than actually going to the ports of call. And that means two things: more sea days and fewer port taxes. If you love sea days, this is a way to go because you'll typically have 6 in a row. On my cruise between Spain and New York City last year, it was a 6-day stretch on Carnival Horizon. Keep in mind, you'll also need to get the airfare, though, to get to the ship or to get from the ship. So that could factor in some cost unless you're using miles or points for the airfare. Number two is to cruise during hurricane season. Obviously, not everyone is willing to take the chance of sailing during hurricane season, and that's why you can often find great bargains. The North Atlantic hurricane season runs between June 1st and November 30th, and there's a sweet spot there where you can get a really good deal, especially during the most active time. This normally is between late August throughout the whole month of September. Now, if you're cruising during hurricane season, do keep in mind that if a storm pops up, it could reroute your cruise. Say you were supposed to go to Cozumel, your itinerary could be diverted to the Eastern Caribbean to avoid bad weather, and the cruise ships tend to stay at least 200 miles away from these storms. Also, consider travel insurance when you're cruising during hurricane season in case your flights get messed up, delayed, or canceled, or what have you. You don't want to get screwed up there. Number three is to book a guarantee cabin. A guarantee cabin is the cheapest type of stateroom to book because the cruise line has complete control over your room assignments. So you're basically at their mercy. You're booking passage on the ship and saying, hey, put me where you want to put me. Of course, that means you don't always get the most desirable room, like you could be above a nightclub or below a crew area. But sometimes you'd also end up in a really good room as well. I had a friend who was sailing. They rolled the dice and bought a guaranteed balcony. And the day of the cruise, they were upgraded to an aft balcony. So, I mean, an aft balcony is normally double the price of a regular balcony. So, that's a good deal there. Number four is to wait for the kids to be back in school. So even though cruise pricing is very fluid, it still has patterns, ebbs and flows. A good rule of thumb is that you'll pay less when schools are in session. So most of the major cruise lines make their revenues from families. So when they can't capture that family market because of school, they tend to lower prices just to get you on the ship. Also, the first week or two after Thanksgiving is a time where you'll find great deals because it's coming off that Thanksgiving holiday. People are returning to work or not spending money because of Christmas, so the cruise lines are willing to adjust their price just to get you on the ship. At the end of the day, the cruise line just needs to fill those cabins. Once they get you on the ship, they're going to take your money one way or another, right? Number five is find yourself a good travel agent. This is one thing I learned after years of booking my own cruises. The agents are really dialed into the promotions and to the rates that the cruise lines offer and different rate codes as well. For instance, my agent told me I should consider booking a back-to-back 3- and 4-night cruise to make it a 7-night instead of going on a newer ship on a 7-night cruise where I would pay almost double. Again, this boils down to preference. It's also easier to deal with price drops when you have an agent because they typically will keep track of it for you and they're there to take care of the details if there happens to be a price drop because they're looking out for your best interest. Number six is consider a lesser-known cruise line. So the big three cruise lines are Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian, followed by Princess, Celebrity, Holland America, and so on. Since these lines are established, sometimes the prices can be a little high depending on where the cruise ship is sailing from. If you find a cruise line that's maybe lesser known, for instance, MSC Cruises and Costa, they often have fantastic prices. In fact, MSC has a sailing in 2019 for as low as $28 per night. Now, keep in mind mind that these are European cruise lines and the service and experience may not be what you're used to on a mass market line, so you'll want to do your research first, but I mean, the price is there. Number 7, book an older ship. A lot of the older ships are usually the lowest price. We see this a lot with ships like Carnival Sensation, Norwegian Sky, and Royal Caribbean's Majesty of the Seas. These older ships are pretty much dedicated to the Bahamas runs, and they do 3 and 4 night sailings, sometimes 5 night sailings, but they don't have a lot of the bells and whistles that we see on newer ships because, I mean, they're 20 plus years old typically or close to it, so that means they're cheaper to book. And number 8, look for ports with lots of cruise ships. We all know the law of supply and demand. In this case, it means that the cruise ports, which have a lot of inventory, have cheaper rates. As an example, Port Canaveral in Miami have a handful of weekly departures that go to the Bahamas, so the cruise lines have to offer competitive pricing to get you on their ship. Here in Jacksonville, Florida, we only have one ship that does 4 and 5 night cruises, so there's no competition. The cruise line can pretty much set the price wherever they want it, and most of the time they do. All right, so in closing here, the 8 ways to find yourself a cheap cruise is to book a repositioning cruise, book during hurricane season, book a guaranteed cabin, wait for the kids to be back in school, find a good travel agent, go with a lesser-known cruise line, book an older ship, and last but not least, look for a cruise port that has a lot of cruise ships. In my experience, cruise pricing is a lot like airline pricing, so if you see a rate that really impresses you, you should just go ahead and book it and throw a deposit down. Just make sure that deposit is 100% refundable. This way, if you do get cold feet, you won't get penalized. If you like this video and you'd like to see more content, subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. You're the reason why I make these videos. My name is Doug Parker. I'm the host of Cruise Radio and the daily Cruise Radio news briefs. You can find both of those where you listen to your favorite podcast. Just type in Cruise Radio or Cruise Radio News. Do you have any tricks or secrets when it comes to booking cheap cruises? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching.